How's that look? Can you hear me? Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Alright, we'll be starting up in about 5 or 7 minutes. What chapter are we on for the Torah portion? Come in. Come in. Hi.
On this fabric, I think I could find that fabric. Not exactly like that, but with the, oh, I know what it was, that stars, what do you call it, iridescent stars all over it. Mm-hmm, yeah. But I like that, it's so pretty. Look, there's not one that you can just have on the wall, is there?
Find those number two.
What was that again?
I said, where are you finding these number two?
There were, was
Just
one right
there?
here. Did you want one too?
I did, but
Well, there's two of them right there.
I don't know.
I don't know where they have, well, I put all this stuff sort of together, but I don't remember that there was a pencil sharpener.
Oh no, I seen one just earlier.
You saw a pencil sharpener?
Yeah.
You mean like a little handheld one?
Yeah. No blue one.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Well, there's some pencils. Joseph, do you
Yes.
have like a little paper that has the I can't even speak in English. The alphabet,
Oh.
the alphabet, and the alphabet in whatever that's called, and then the alphabet in cursive or whatever that's called.
I do.
You don't have to get it for me right now.
I might not be able to
Get your class started,
give you
but
one.
maybe afterwards.
Do you want one during class?
Oh, that'd be great, but
For
I don't
reference?
have to have it till afterwards.
Okay, well here's one that you can reference during class.
Okay, thank you.
So these 3 different
That's great.
zips or
Thank
whatever,
you.
yeah. Alright. There we are. All right then. Let's go ahead and start. Quick review on last week. Who remembers that word?
Nathan.
Nathan, and what does it mean?
Give.
Yes, give. the root word for give? Natan. Okay, and then we also have this word. Tzedek. Who remembers what tzedek is?
Is it right?
Righteousness, yeah.
Oh, righteousness.
Yeah. Sometimes it would translate as righteous, but mostly righteousness would be the main thing. Okay. And then I think we talked about, this may have been the previous week, ani. Remember what ani is?
Me.
I.
Oh,
Yes. Good. Okay, a couple other recent words we've gone over. Shamar. Remember that root? Shamar. Guard or keep. Good. And then how about Shema? Here. Good. Okay, and then one other word that we learned last week was the word for eye. Like as in an eye that you see out of. Anybody remember? That's the verb to see. But an eye is ayin. Ayin is an eye. And then the plural is enaim. Ayin and enaim. All right. So let's learn a couple more pronouns this week. Simple common pronouns. So we have who, which is he. Okay. So if I was going to say he gave, we would say hu natan. He gave, hu natan. Okay, or he heard, you would say hu shama. He heard. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and cover she as well. So she is he. Okay. In biblical Hebrew, okay, in biblical Hebrew, she is still pronounced the same, but it's often written the same as this one. So who and he, it just has a different vowel, right? The who and he. In biblical Hebrew, it'll often show up like this. But in modern Hebrew, it's standardized to the spelling with the yod. So sometimes, more often in biblical Hebrew, it'll actually be spelled exactly the same as this. So it's just a matter of knowing by context whether it's he or she. I don't see a sample of it up there on the reading for today, but I'm sure we'll come across it soon if we don't come across it today. Okay, and I think we touched on it a little bit so far, that the common feminine ending is hey and tav. Okay, these are common feminine endings on words. Okay. Hey or tav are the common feminine endings. So, for example, like we just said, he gave is going to be hu natan. So if we were going to do the feminine form of that to say she gave, you would say he natna. So you would just add a hey on the end of this, like this. Okay? So he natna. Hu natan, and he natna. So same letters, just adding the hey on the end. So here's an example of a verb that's feminine. So it's saying she will do this action. So the masculine would just be the root, right? The gimel lamed chet. Hu gileach, vehi gilcha. So adding that hey on the end is making the verb into the feminine form of that verb. Okay. So you can do that with any of them. Shamar, the feminine form would be adding a hey, and then just adjust by one where that ah vowel is. So it's shamra instead of shamar, it's shamra. So you're still getting two syllables, both of them ah. Right? So the masculine is shamar, the feminine is shamra. So you just add the hey, and then as far as vowels go, it's like that. Same thing here with shama, but this one doesn't even really sound any different when it's feminine because it already ends with an ah and a soft sound, right? So it's sham-ah. Shama and shama. It's almost exactly the same for the feminine form of it. Okay, and then with certain words, you'll end up with a tav being added for the ending. The more common one is the hey, but you will see the tav showing up as a feminine ending in certain cases with certain words. Shalom. Is this in the way? I can't tell. Right. So again, to go over those, we would say hu natan and he natna. The hey added on the end is the feminine ending, right? And with the word here, hu shama and he shama. That one sounds very similar because you already have the soft ending. This one would be hu shamar and he shamra. And we could go down the list on the verbs that we've covered so far. The one Mrs. Jones mentioned was la'ah, to see. That one's a little different because it already ends with a hey. So we're talking about the feminine ending being the hey that's added here. So with this word, because the ending is already a hey, hu la'ah, when we go to the feminine, it becomes rata. So you'll add a tav in there. So basically the hey changes to a tav, and then you add the hey just like normal. Basically, you can never add onto a hey on the end of a word. So if you're adding a suffix onto a word and that word ends with hey, the hey will change somehow. Sometimes it disappears, but usually it will either change into a tav or a yod, just because you don't build on a hey on the end of a word. So that's just a simple grammatical thing. There's a couple exceptions to it. I can think of one word that I know that's like that, where they actually add another hey to a hey on the end of the root word. But it almost never happens. Okay, so that one's a little different because it ends with hey, but then some of the others we've covered, like amar. Anybody remember that root? Amar. What does that mean? Amar. Zion, do you know? Vayomer. What's vayomer? Said. Say. Yeah. So amar is any said. So the feminine would be amra. Amar. Adding the hey for the feminine, amra. Same thing with avar. Avar is to cross over, to pass over, right? Avar, and then the feminine would be avra. So those are the simple past tense forms of the verbs, right? So when we're looking at the basic root form or whatever that gets written, you know, this is the root word or whatever, that's the simple past tense form, masculine singular, right? So he did the action. It's going to be that simple basic form, just the root letters. Hu, natan, he gave. And then the feminine, all you're adding is just a hey, adding a hey to it. And then your vowing changes a little bit. So if we have example up here of the, so this one would be the simple form, and, right, u, natano. So the o on the end is just saying give him, right? But natan, that's the basic one, right? So it's saying he gives. U natano, natano, which is gave to him. We have a whole,
I'm sorry, so
yeah.
the last letter there indicates it's a male or he?
It just indicates, so it's not who's doing the action, but it's the action being done to. And he gave to him, basically. So it's unusual. That's a biblical style. You won't really see that in modern Hebrew. Okay, and then if you come down here further, you're seeing a bunch of these feminine forms of verbs. So, asta, so that's another example of the one where we added a tav, because the root is just ayin, sin, hey, asa. We've talked about that a little bit, to make or do, right, asa. So it becomes asta, because the tav is added, right, the hey is added, that tav changed, or that hey changed to a tav. More of the simple ones would be like this. The root is just yashav, adding the hey becomes yashva, so that's she's doing this action, right? It's talking about a woman, yashva, and she sat, is what that means. There's more here. So asta, yashva, gilcha. See the hey being added on the root word, gilach, gileach, gilcha. Yeah, so those are some of the examples, and those are just simple past tense verbs. Those are what they look like in the past tense. Okay. All right. Yeah, so you'll see the feminine ending of the tav as well. This is especially going to, with verbs, that will especially be the case in the present tense. So right now we're looking at past tense verbs. I won't go over that right now, but you'll especially see that with verbs in the present tense, and then you'll see it on other adjectives or things that will change in the feminine form. They'll add a tav. Okay, so those are common feminine endings, the common pronouns there with who and he. And let's go ahead and learn this verb root as well. So asa is the root word. So that's ayin, sin, hey, asa. And it means to make or to do. To make or do. Not to make do, but to make or do. Asa. So if you're going to say he made something, you say hu asa. Right? Hu asa. So this is here talking about the captive. If you finding a beautiful woman when they go out to war and bringing her back, and then she can make, so here it's saying she'll shave her head, shaves her head, gilcha et rosha, ve'asta et tziparnea, and do, literally just do, her nails. There's nails. So it could be do, or I think the English, the King James will say pare, like pare her nails, so whatever, but it's literally just do or make her nails, so interesting. So asa means make or do. You'll see that word showing up in the beginning when God is doing in the first chapter of Genesis, you'll see it showing up quite a bit. He's making different things. He uses the word create as well, which is a different word, but it also uses the word make in Genesis chapter 1. This would also be the word that someone would use to ask, like, do you do Shabbat? Someone might say, do you make Shabbat? So Israelis who speak Hebrew, right? Oseh Shabbat, or make or do Shabbat. They'll also use this word for Shabbat, right? To keep Shabbat. Shomer, Shamar Shabbat. Guard or keep the Shabbat. Okay, let's see. We have a couple words here. Who remembers this word?
Oh, faith? What is
No. Yamim.
Oh, yeah.
What are yamim?
Year?
No. The plural. What is yom? A day. Yamim are days. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yom is day. Yamim are days. That was a little different, right? The vowel changed a little bit. Yom, Yamim. Okay, how about this word? Yerach. So usually this word would be pronounced Yareach, but in this case it's a construct form with days. Yareach.
That's not eyes or see or.
No.
Yeah, right.
Yareach is a moon. So a Yerach Yamim is saying a month of days. Or 30 days, right?
Yera means moon?
Yareach is a moon. Yeah. Yareach. So Yerach Yamim, meaning a month of days or 30 days.
Bless you.
Okay, I'm trying to pick out the more common words here, though. Okay, so let's use the word. You guys might already know this one. How do you say man or woman? Ish and Isha. Good. Ish and Isha. So there's another example of the feminine ending, right, being the hey. Ish is a man, Isha is a woman. Ish and Isha. So you see that word showing up a few times up here. Like right here, Isha. Le Isha, so that means as a wife. There's actually no different word for wife or woman in Hebrew, right? So it's just Isha, either wife or woman. And then Le Isha, that's it will most commonly be translated wife when it's starting with Lamed, when it's saying someone took for himself as a wife, right? So Isha, there would translate as wife. Le Isha, as a wife or for a wife. And then also here, this word is actually the same word. You notice the aleph and sheen. So it's got the tav ending, which we talked about how a hey can change to a tav. But eshet is just the construct form of isha. So when it's going with these other words, eshet yafat toal is a beautiful woman. That's what that phrase basically means. Beautiful woman. So yafeh, you might know the word yafeh or yafa. Yafat toal. So both of these words would end with a hey, but the tav, it changed to a tav because they're all connected. It's one thought. It's one thing put together. Eshet yafat toal. So yeah, so you have that word eshet, which comes from isha, and you have isha there, isha right there.
So that's real interesting.
What is?
A woman and a wife are the
Yeah.
same thing.
Woman and wife is the same word.
That's interesting.
Yep. So it's just by context whether they translate in English, whether they choose to translate as wife or woman. Just by the context, you can know which one's implied. But yeah, there's no different word in Hebrew.
Girlfriend.
Well,
There's no dating.
Yeah, in modern Hebrew there is, right? In modern Hebrew they would have a word for that, but yeah. All right, any questions?
To me, it's,
No.
I'm sorry, this
Go ahead.
is like, what do you call it? Not studying, fully out of studying Hebrew, I guess, but to me, it's interesting that the word for woman is the same word as for wife, because it's like Yahweh, that's what Yahweh created the woman for,
It's true.
which is really, I mean, that's not very current.
Not very politically correct.
Politically correct. It's just amazing.
Friend is chaver. Yeah, chaver. And this is even in biblical Hebrew too. And then the feminine form of that word, can you guess what it is? Yeah, chavera. Chaver is masculine. Chavera is the feminine form. So a girl, a female friend would be chavera.
That sounds Spanish.
Oh yeah. And then in modern Hebrew, if someone's just saying someone is a friend, you can use this word, chaver, but it can also mean a boyfriend. So what they'll do to show, like if it's a special friend, a lot of times they'll say ha-chaver. So it's the friend of mine instead of just being a friend. It's the friend, so that they know that you're talking about a specific or special friend. So meaning like a boyfriend or girlfriend, like or in a romantic context. So we'll use the hey on the front just to make you know it's specific. But chaver and chavera also are just simply a friend.
How about best friend?
So then you would just add the word best, which would be hachi. Go ahead and show you. Hachi tov. So tov is good, right? So hachi just means most good. So chaver hachi tov would be best friend. Chaver. So this word chaver is actually neat. So the root word of it really just has to do with a connection. So you can lechaber in a verb form. Lechaber just means to connect something. Lechaber. And then actually a really cool thing in Isaiah 53 where it says, by his stripes we are healed. So the word for stripes there is chavurotav. So what's the root word? Chaver, but it actually means stripes, like marks on yourself from being beaten or whatever. Those are what that would be. So it's a different voweling, right? You have cha, vu, rotav, right? So it's different vowels, and so that's why we have the different meaning. But there's a connection of the root. It's just the connection, right? The whip or whatever that's used, and the connection that it's making with the flesh each time that leaves the mark. But it's actually kind of interesting because if you look at the word without the vowels, right, that you could translate it as by his friendship or by our association with him, by our connection with him, we're healed, even, not just by his stripes. Yeah, it's the same word as that. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Actually, I had a pretty cool experience with that when I saw that one morning in Israel. I woke up, I had a sore throat, and I was reading my Bible and praying in the morning, and reading Isaiah 53, and I saw that verse right there where it says, by his friendship or our connection with him, we're healed. And immediately, as soon as I saw that and realized, whoa, the sore throat was gone, and then I was good, just like that. But it was like a really cool little experience that I had. Yeah, never forget that.
Wow.
That happened to me yesterday when I lost some vitamins.
Oh, really?
I prayed hard. I felt something like stabbing me.
Oh, no. Wow.
And I woke up with nothing. Thank God.
Wow. Hallelujah. Okay. So chaver, that's a common word. I don't know how much it'll show up in the Torah, but it does show up. Talks about Abraham being God's friend. Uses that word chaver. And then, let's see. Those are some of the most common ones. Okay, so here's some we know. What's this? Avia. Anybody know? Yeah. So what's the word mean though? What's the father is the root. Av. So what's the hey on the end? We know the hey being added is generally a feminine ending, right? So it's saying her father. So it's showing you the feminine
Say
connection.
that word again.
Avia.
So, what would you do? What would it be spelled like if it says my father is Yahweh? Because it almost sounds
The
like
same.
when
The
you
same.
said it.
Yeah, you could do it that way. Avia. Yeah, you could say it the same way. It would be the same. But avia would also just be her father. So you're having the possessive suffix on the end there. Her father. And then here, ve'et ima. What do you think that means? Anybody have a guess? What's ima? If avia is her father, her mother, yes. Her mom, her father, and her mother. Ima. Because ima with an aleph, right, is, instead of a hey here, we would put the aleph. In modern Hebrew, that's how we would say mom, right? Ima. But in this case, it's ima with a hey, saying her mother. So the word mother is actually just M. If you look up mother in the dictionary, it's just M. And the same for father is just Av. But then in the modern Hebrew, what they did is they actually took an Aramaic ending that was common, and that's what they use, is the Aramaic ending being added. So it's more like just the informal or whatever. More like, so this would be father, this would be dad or daddy, mother, and mom, mama. So ima and abba, and then the actual word mother and father is just M and Av. So when you see it being built on the word, right, you're seeing that root used with a suffix or something like we do here. All you're going to see is Av, not Abba. And the same thing here, just M being the starting point for the word. Okay, we're learning lots of new words this week. And then, how about this one? Anybody remember this word? We covered this root. What's it say? Who can read it? Ta.
It's not Tova.
It's not tov. Tavo. What's the root? So just get rid of the tav, and that's the root.
Go.
Come.
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 That's what I meant.
Bo. Yeah. You were close. You were very close. All right. Yeah, there are times where it's translated as go, but doesn't necessarily. But sometimes I wish it wasn't.
Okay. So you could win. Right?
Velakachta. Anybody know this word? Zion, do you know that one? Velakachta. So the root is lakach. Lakach. And this verb means take. Okay, this is a common one as well. So velakachta, and you shall take, or and you take. Velakachta. So the past tense, he took, would be hu lakach. The simple, using that pronoun, he took, right? So the simple form, the root form like this, is also the masculine singular third person past tense, right? He took would just be hu lakach. And then who remembers the feminine? How would we make it feminine to say she took? He lakcha. Right? So this vowel would change lakcha and add the hey. That would be the feminine form. Good. He lakcha and hu lakach. Okay. So that root for take is lakach. M is mother. Av is father. And chaver is friend. Okay. There's a couple other words here you guys might recognize. How about Baal? Do any of you guys know the word Baal? Yes, husband or master. Baal. So, uv alta. What do you think that means? So it's making it a verb form. So it's saying, basically, and take her as your wife, uv alta. So become a husband to her, ta, right? Talking about her. Uv alta. Baal. So this word, right, that one prophecy that talks about how you'll no longer call me Baal, but right, you'll call me Ishi, right, not Baali, but Ishi, my man, instead of my master or my husband. So with the word M, what if we had something that said emo? What does that mean? M is mother, but then what's the vav as a suffix? Who remembers? Right, we see up there in the text we have the word ima, right? Ima, which means her mother. So what do you think emo is? His mother. Right, so the vav works like the hey as far as being that possessive suffix on something. So if you're saying his father, it would be like this. Just like his mother was, or her mother was Avia. Sorry, her father was Avia. And then his father would be Aviv, right? So instead of adding the hey, we add the vav. I'm sure there are others here. So Shivyo, his captive, right, with the vav ending. So that's the third person possessive suffix that you'll see is the vav being added. And then the hey is the feminine one, which you see in a lot of these in this text, because this is talking about when they find a beautiful woman among the captives and taking her as your wife. And so there's a lot of feminine possessive things on that whole thing. So this was the same concept here, right, with the vav ending, saying, and he gave to him, right, and he gave to him. Okay, how about the word rosh? Anybody know the word rosh? Rosh, Zion knows it. Head, yeah. Rosh is head. So here we have a hey on the end. Rosha. So what does it mean? Her head. Good. her head. Rosh and Rosha. Rosha. So tziparnaim would be fingernails, tziparnaim, but here it's tziparnea. So what does it mean? With the hay ending instead of the, so it's going to be her fingernails instead of just fingernails, right? So here we have the verb heveta, heveta. So it's from that same root as come, right? Tavo. You see the bet and aleph, that same root? So this verb, though, means bring. So it's like the transitive, right? You're causing something else to come. You're bringing someone. So heveta, notice the hey ending with the dot, right? That's showing it's the feminine possessive thing. So bring her. And he will bring her. Heveta. Right. And there's a word we know. What's this one? Ken. What does Ken mean?
Yes.
Yes. What else can it mean, though? How else is it used?
Tell us, something positive? I don't know.
Yeah. So it could translate as like thus, or even this, or in this way, like this type of thing. Okay. So because that's basically what you're saying. When you ask someone asks you a question and you say, "Can?" You say, "Yes, it's this way. That's how it is, like this." Yeah. So it'll be used like that. Here it's saying, "Ve'achal ken," and afterward, after that, after this, he'll come. It also will be used to contrast the negative of something. Like if someone says, like with shama, say, hu lo shama. What does that mean? Hu lo shama. He didn't hear, right? He didn't hear, or he didn't hear and obey. Hu lo shama. So then you could change it and say, hu ken shama. And then what does it mean? He did hear. So it's like emphasizing the fact that he did. Because you could just say hu shama, he heard. But hu ken shama is like he did. You're emphasizing did. Especially that'll show up in a contrast. So you'll have one sentence saying no, and then the next one saying ken, to contrast the two.
The ken, shema, would be written as one word.
No, ken is its own word. So just like here, ken would be its own word. And then the next thing. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and take our break, and then we'll come back and do our reading. et tziparnea. We talked about that. And she'll do her nails, trim her nails. Vehesira. She will remove et simlat. So simla is like a dress or garments. Remove the dress of shivya, of her captivity. Me'alea, from upon her. Veyashva, and she will sit or she will dwell. Bevetecha, in your house, right? So you guys know this one, cha, right? Your. So in your house, bevetecha. Uvachta, and she will mourn or cry. Et avia, she will mourn her father. Et ima, and her mother. So literally the word means cry, but I think they would translate it as mourn usually, but she'll cry for her father and mother, or mourn her father and mother. Yerach yamim, a month of days. Ve'achalken, and afterward, or after that, tavo elea, you will come into her. So tavo, come to her, elea. Uve'alta, and become her husband. Ve'haita, and she shall be lecha, for you, leisha, as a wife. Okay, and then in 14, vehaya, and it will be, vehaya, im lo chafatzta ba, if you do not delight in her, if you do not
Do not what?
delight, or if you don't delight in her, if you don't like her, veshilachta, and you will send her, shilachta, send her away, lenafsha, so freely, umachol, and selling, lo timkerena, so it's doubling up the selling thing, you will not sell her, machol lo timkerena, bakasif, for money. Lo titamer ba, shall not, I think it's humble, not humble her. Tachat the no, this is humble because you humbled her. You shall not, I don't know the word. Titamer. Yeah, I'm not familiar for sure. But I mean, in the passage, it's like basically just not adding to the fact that you already humbled her, not oppressing her anymore. Which, if you think about this in the ancient culture's context, like this is such a kind law, isn't it? Like it's the fact that it's like just letting her go free. Like you can't sell her if you don't like her. And the fact of giving her time, the 30 days to even mourn where she came from, and basically giving her a chance to make a decision. Like, am I gonna make a new life? Do I want to, basically give myself to this man now and make a new life here? And she's basically given time to think about and decide, and then, if she wants to be whatever, if she's not going to make it work, obviously if he's not pleased, he can let her go, but even still there's mercy there, and just like he's not going to sell her to somebody else. Enslave, titamer? Okay, interesting. So titamer is saying enslave in some translations, would say to enslave her after you humbled her. Okay, and then verse 15. So you have the little samach here showing it's going on to something else, a new section. Ki tihyena, if there will be, la'ish, to a man, shtei nashim, two wives. Ha'achat ahuva, the one loved. Ahuva, are you guys familiar with the word ahuv or ohev, ahav? Ha'achat ahuva, one loved, ve'ha'achat snua, and one hated. Ve'aldulo vanim, and they bear to him children. So yalad, the word yeled is a child, and then in a verb form to give birth to a child. Ve'yaldulo, and they will give birth to him children. Ha'ahuva ve'hasnua, so the beloved and the hated. Vehaya haben habechor lesniah, and the son, the firstborn son, is to the hated. Vehaya, And it shall be beyom hanchilo et banav, when he gives his inheritance to his sons. Ben, you guys know that word, right? Ben, banav, his sons. Et asher yihyeh lo, so this, the one that will be to him, lo yuchal levaker, so he is not able, lo yuchal, he's not able, levaker, so this is taking that root of bechor, right here, the firstborn, so he's not able to be the firstborn, et ben ha'ahuva. Right, so it's just using that same word for firstborn in a verb form, so he's not able to cause him to be the firstborn, the son of the beloved. Al pnei, before the face of ben hasnua habechor, before the face of the son of the hated, the firstborn, who is actually the firstborn.
It says it could also be to abuse or cruel or hostile.
Titamem, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. Where was I? Okay, 17. Ready for 17. Ki et ha-bechor, for the firstborn, ben hasnua yakir. So he will, do you guys remember this one? He will recognize. So he must recognize the son of the hated. Latetlo, to give to him. So natan, right? We know that verb natan, gift, right? Then the infinitive form to give is latet. So latetlo, to give to him, pi shnaim. So literally by the mouth of two, or double. Pi shnaim, bechol, of all, asher yimatzelo, which is found with him. Ki hu, what's who? He, yeah. For he, reshit ono, he is the firstborn. He is the first of his strength. Lo mishpat bechorah, to him is the ruling of the firstborn, or the judgment of the firstborn. Okay, ki yihyeh, so there you have a samech again. So in this portion we're having a lot of little sections, right? So they're dividing them up with the samech.
In that line you just read the second word over, that means strength.
Oh no, I think so. On is a word for strength. It's yeah, it's not very common, but it shows up here and there. And in 18, ki yihyeh la'ish. So if there will be to a man ben, what's ben? A son, sorer umore. So a wayward or rebellious son. Ve'eneno shomea, and he does not shomea, doesn't listen and obey. Bekol aviv, to the voice of his father. Uvekol imo, and to the voice of his mother. We just talked about that, right? We just had those written, right? Imo, his mother, and Aviv, his father. So he does not listen to the voice. Kol Aviv uvekol imo. Doesn't listen to the voice of his father and mother. Vayisru oto. Vayisru oto. So it's interesting. Usually this word has to do with like turning aside. So maybe it's saying they're going after him basically. Velo yishama aleihim, and he does not listen to them. Vetafsubo, and they catch him. Tafsuvo aviv veimo, they take him. Vehotziu oto, bring him out. El zikne, so if you might know the word zaken. Zikanim, the elders, take him to the elders of Iro, his city. So again, we're seeing the Vav now showing up on the end of these. City is Ir, and then the Vav on the end, his city. Ve'el Sha'al Mekomo. So again, Makom is a place, and the Vav on the end, his place. To the gate of his place. Any questions? Ask questions if you have them. Verse 20. Ve'amru. And they will what? What's the verb? Say. And they will say, El Zikne, to the elders of Iro, of his city. Benenu. What's that mean? Benenu. Our son. Our son. So nu from anachnu, like we, right? So benenu, our son, ze, this, our son. Sorer, umore, he's turning aside and being rebellious. Ve'enenu shomea, he does not listen. Bekolenu, he does not listen to our voice. Zolel v'sovei, is a glutton and a drunkard. Urgamuhu kol anshe iro, and shall stone him all the men or people of his city. Ba'avanim, so Evan is the word for stone. Ba'avanim, with stones. Vamet, and he will die. Uviarta hara, and you will purge or burn, literally burn, the evil, mikilbecha, from your midst. V'kol Yisrael, and all of Israel, yishmeu, what's that mean? What's the root? No, yishmeu. Shema, hear. So all Israel, yishmeu, will hear, v'yir'u, and will fear. All Israel will hear and fear. So we were talking about the hey being added as the ending for the feminine form of verbs, right? You'll see this u ending when it's plural, right? So it's talking about all Israel will hear. So instead of being just shema, yishma, it's yishmeu and yira'u. So both of those verbs end with the u for the plural. They will, all of them. Okay, verse 22. Vechi yihyeh, and if there will be va'ish chet, so if there will be upon a man a sin, mishpat mavet, so deserving of death or a sentence of death, vehumat, and he's put to death, vetalita oto al etz, and you hang him al etz. What's that mean? Aretz is land. Close. Etz is a tree. Yeah. So vetalita oto, you'll hang him on a tree.
One moment.
Yeah.
Talit, is that,
Talita, yeah.
does that have anything to do with,
A talit? I think it could.
well, it kind of hangs on.
The talit is, the word for talit is spelled as a tet. So
Oh,
it could be somewhat related or something, but it's not exactly
Okay,
like the
okay.
same word or something. Yeah, so you shall hang him on a tree. Lo talin nivlato. So his will not spend the night is basically what this is. To be all night. Shall not be all night his body al ha'etz, on the tree. Ki kavor, for you shall bury tikberenu beyomahu. So it's you shall certainly bury, right? Because you see the doubling of the root. Kavor, tikberenu. Shall certainly bury him bayom hahu, in that day. So literally, what is who? What does who mean? We learned it up there.
the man.
He, right? So in the day, the him, or the day, the he, because there's no genderless pronouns, right? They always, it's either he or she. There's no it in Hebrew.
Oh,
So you can't just say in that day. It has to be in his
There we
day.
have
That
three of the
his
group.
day. Yeah. Yom hahu. Ki kilat Elohim. For accursed of God, talui is the one who's hung. Talui. Velo tetame. You shall not. Yeah. You shall not defile et admatcha. Not defile your land or your ground, literally, right? Admatcha. Asher Adonai, which the Lord Elohecha noten. What's noten? Gives. Yeah, which the Lord your God gives to you, lecha, nachala, as an inheritance. Nachala. Chapter 22. Oh, this is a good one. All right. Lo tire. What's that mean? What's this verb? A. Do not see. Yeah. Do not see at shol. What is a shoal? Anybody know that word? What? Yeah, a bull. A bull. A cow. A male cow. Cattle. A bull. You shall not see shol achicha. Shall not see a bull of your brother. O et seo nidachim. I think it's a sheep. Probably. I mean, a say is a lamb, so it's probably coming from that, but it's a different spelling, so it's possible it's a different animal. I'm not familiar for sure. I would think it would be a sheep. Nidachim, straying. Vehitalamta, and you shall hide yourself. So don't see it and hide yourself. Mehem, from them. Hashev teshivem. So certainly you shall do this, right? You see the doubling of the root. Hashev teshivem. What is shav, lashuv, teshuvah? Anybody know the root? Return. Yeah. You shall surely return them. Le'achicha, to your ach. What is ach? Brother, to your brother. Ve'im lo karov, and if he is not close, achicha, if your brother is not close or nearby, elecha, nearby to you, velo yedato, what is yeda? No, right? And then the vav ending, him. If you don't know him, ve'asafto, then you shall gather it, talking about the animal, el toch betecha, into your house. Vehaya, and it will be imcha, with you. Ad derosh achicha, until seeks it your brother, until your brother seeks it.
I'm going to assume that's a barn because the dog came to my house. It wasn't my dog. It was
You
sick,
didn't put it in your
and
house?
I didn't bring it in my house.
Yeah, I think it's just saying to your dwelling area. Yeah. I don't think it's saying it has to literally be in your house, especially if it's a bull. Yeah, yeah. We'll let you off the hook there. Vehashivoto lo, and you shall return him to him. Return it to him. Okay, v'chen ta'aseh. So there we have it, that word ken showing up again. And thus, right? This is how you shall deal with. V'chen ta'aseh. Thus you shall, what's this verb? Down there, we just learned it. Asa. Right? Thus you shall do. Lechamoro. To his donkey. V'chen ta'aseh l'simlato. And thus you shall do to his garment. V'ken ta'aseh, and thus you shall do l'chol avedat achicha, for all that is lost of your brother. Asher tovad, which will be lost, mimenu, by him, which could be lost from him, literally. u'mitzata, and you found it. Lo tuchal, you are not able, you shall not, lehitalem, to disappear, to ignore, hide yourself. So this root, this is a cool root. I'll tell you something about it. So alem, so there's this word alama, which is like a young woman.
To the one you're talking about.
This one, yeah.
Okay.
Alem. So here it's talking about hiding yourself, right? It's saying if you find this of your neighbor, you can't just hide yourself. You can't, basically hide the fact that you have the animal or whatever it is that you found. So that word, we also from that word have the word alma, which is like a young woman. So that's the word that's used in the prophecy in Isaiah talking about a virgin will give birth, basically, right? So some people want to try to argue that it wasn't a virgin birth, right? That word doesn't mean virgin, okay? Because it's usually used just to mean like a young woman. But the problem is because it uses this unusual word for a young woman, which the base root means to be hidden, someone that's hiding themselves, okay? So they're saying this young woman is so young, basically, that they're not even noticed because they're completely hidden. They're not even like being considered at the age that this person's at. So it's like so obviously a virgin that's that type of young woman. She's very, very young. It's not. And then obviously the Septuagint, they translated it as the Greek word for virgin. So there's a lot of things. But just so you know, even that base root word of the Hebrew shows you that it's not talking about just a young woman who's of marriageable age. It's talking about basically an invisible young woman in a sense because she's not even of age yet. Okay. Then verse 4, Lo tireh, so you shall not see et chamor achicha, shall not see the donkey of your brother, o shoro, or his ox or bull, noflim, falling down, baderech. Anybody know that word, derech? On the way or on the road. Vehitalamta, again, and hide yourself. Shall not see that and hide yourself, mehem, from them. Hakem takim imo. So you shall raise up. You shall certainly raise it up with him. So help it up with him. Lo yihyeh chli gever. So there shall not be the instrument of a man, chli gever, al isha, on a woman. Velo yilbash, and shall not wear, gever, a man shall not wear, simlat isha, the garment of a woman. Ki toavat Adonai Elohecha, for the abomination of the Lord your God. Kol osei ele. So what's osei? This word, asa, right? Abomination to the Lord your God are all who do these. Verse 6. Ki kareh kan tzipor. So if there will happen to be, kan tzipor lefanecha, so a nest of a bird before you, baderech. So again, what's derech? The way or the road, right? On the way, on the road. Bechol etz, o al haaretz, so in a tree or on the earth. Efrochim, so that's chicks, baby birds. Efrochim o veitzim, baby birds or eggs. Ve'ha'em rovetzit, and the what? What's em?
Mom?
Yeah, the mother rovetzit is hovering or sitting on. Al efrochim, ha'efrochim, sitting on the chicks. O al beitzim, or on the eggs. Lo tikach, so there's that verb we learned, the top one over there. Lakach. Lo tikach, you shall not take. Ha'em al habanim, shall not take the mother on the sons, literally, or the mother with the young. Don't take the mother with the young.
Is that, some people say like the spirit was hovering over the earth. Is that the same?
Merachefet, it's a different word. Yeah, it's a different one. It's used, I think, it might be used in the context in other places where it talks about like a hen gathering her young or something. And
Okay, it's more a bird thing.
yeah, I think so. It's also used, I think, to mean crouch, like when it talks about when Cain kills Abel, God talking to Cain, and he says, sin lies at the door, basically. I think that's the word, rovetzet, like it's crouching down like a lion. It's used in Proverbs, I think, with the lion and something crouching down. But yeah, it's kind of same basic movement there. Okay, so if it's sitting on the young or on the eggs, lo tikach, right, the mother with the young, right? Okay, verse 7, shaleach teshalach, so shall certainly send away et ha'em, send away the mother, ve'et habanim, and the young, tikach lach, you can take for yourself. Laman, so that yitav lach, so that it will go well with you. So this root is tov, right, good. So the verb form, yitav, it will be good, it will go well for you, with you. Ve'harachta yamim, to finish the verse, ve'harachta yamim, and you shall lengthen your days. Your days may be long. Okay, and then ki tivnei bait. Hey, we've been doing that lately. It's not exactly a bait, but kind of is. When you build a house, chadash. Anybody know that word, chadash? New, yeah. So when you build a new house, you guys know this word even if you didn't realize it. So you know in the blessing that we do after meal blessing, Uvenei Yerushalayim, and build Jerusalem, right? Uvenei Yerushalayim. Tivnei, build. Ki tivnei, when you build a new house, Bait Chadash. Ve'asita, so this is from that verb there, asa. You shall make, ve'asita, you shall make, makeh, a railing, legagecha, for the roof. Velo tasim damim, and you will not put or allow blood, bevetecha, at your house. Yeah, so that blood doesn't come upon your house. Ki yipol hanofel mimenu, so someone would fall, the faller would fall from it. Lo tizra kalmecha, you shall not plant seed, right? The root word seeds. You shall not plant your vineyard. Kilaim.
Oh, zerah.
So yeah, zera is seed. Yeah, yeah. Tizra kalmecha kilaim. So with mixed seed. Pentikadash. So here we have the root word. Anybody know that one? What's the holy, right, kadash. So don't plant your vineyard with mixed seed, lest it become profaned, is usually how they will translate it, right? Lest it become defiled or profaned. So it's the opposite use of the word.
Kadosh is holy, but how did you make it to become
Right.
holy?
So it's like the opposite meaning of the word. So kadosh, in certain cases, obviously being used in the negative context. Because you think about what is kadosh, we'll sometimes say set apart, right? So it's something that's set aside. It can't be just normal. It can't be used normally. So it's saying, if you plant your vineyard with mixed seed, now it's going to be tikdash. It's going to be set aside, whereas you can't use it normally, so it's going to be set aside. But this is in a negative context. It's going to be set apart for not for good use, like you're not going to be able to use it. So it's kadosh in the bad sense instead of holy for God, set apart for God.
So what's the T?
That's just, it's just the form of the verb. It's just like here, tizra, when you plant, and then it would become
so you
that.
just assume that or know that because you know Hebrew, that they're saying that this is a not holy thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, just because
I mean,
of
there's
the
nothing
context
that
of it.
says low or
Well, yeah, because it's saying don't plant your vineyard like this, right? Lo tizra kalmecha kilaim pen tikdash, or it will become set aside like that. Yeah. Okay. Hamleah hazera asher tizra utvuat hakarem. So this is like the fullness of the seed that you will plant and the fruit of the vineyard. I don't know what the English usually puts for that verse exactly.
Kareem, that's on some line. I can't remember.
Kerem?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's,
that was
that's
that
the
word
Hebrew
there,
word for
right?
vineyard, yes. Kerem, karem. Okay, lo tacharosh. Everybody know that word? Charosh? Tacharosh?
Head.
No, rosh is head, but that would be with an aleph in there. So this is do not plow. Lo tacharosh bashol uvachamor, with an ox and a donkey yachdav together. Plow with an ox and a donkey together. Lo tilbash shatnez, do not wear a mixed garment. Tzemel ufishtim, wool and linen yachdav together.
What about polyester?
I don't know. It doesn't say that here, so probably no bueno, but it's not listed here with the wool and linen, so I don't know. Gdilim ta'aselach al arba kanfot ksutcha asher techase ba. Anybody know what that is?
What?
Gdilim
That's a big one.
ta'ase.
Is it Gadol big or?
What?
Ellie doesn't know.
Yes, she does. She's an expert.
Gader is a fence. Yeah.
What?
Get the.
Tase.
So like.
Tase, you will make for yourself. Al, on.
On.
Arba, on 4.
Arba.
What are kanfot? Anybody know kanaf?
And what?
Kanaf birds have these
Beak.
wings.
Wing.
So on the 4 wings, ksutra, of your garment. So as you're making fringes, you shall make for yourself on the 4 wings or corners of your garment. Asher techaseba, which you cover yourself in it.
What was the? I'm sorry. I
Uh-huh.
was thinking that first word Gadol was Gadol, but that's not.
That the root, yeah, it's from the same root letters. Gadol, Gimel, Dalet,
So
Lamed.
something is big
Gedilim.
over there.
I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
It's
figure
interesting
out
because
what to say.
Yeshua rebukes the Pharisees for making them big, though. So it's kind of funny.
Making big talits or big what?
It's increased more than the normal edge, but he's like.
Yeah, that's true because it's extended. So because you're putting that, you know, the extension
but
on the corners, so it is
which
bigger
one are
than the
bigger
rest
or
of my garment.
smaller? How do you know if you extended them or not?
Well, if you're purposely making yours bigger than everyone else's, then that's a problem. That's what I think. If they're the normal sizes that people wear, then
in
it's
my
fine.
case, Brother Twan made
There you go.
stars,
See,
And Brother Twan made these, so.
pretty
and
normal.
I don't think he would.
Well,
I don't think he would have an issue with staying humble.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, the point of the rebuke though was that they're trying to show off, look how holy we are by making them extra. Okay. Ki yikach ish isha. So what's that mean? You guys know all these words. Ready? When or if. When. Yikach. That verb over there we just learned. Will take, right? When we'll take. Ish.
Man,
A man, right? So when a man will take
woman,
a woman, a wife, uva, and he, what's the root? Cameron, you know this one?
come.
Ko, yeah, come. So when he comes to her, elea, usnea, and he hates her, vesamla, he shall give to her, alilot dvarim,
so write her like a gift.
a certificate, yeah, get, a certificate of divorce. So words, you see the word there, right? Dvarim, alilot dvarim, a thing of words. Vehotzio alea, shemra, and he puts out upon her
Why he didn't
a bad name. Okay, wait, here, just a minute. So this might be, okay, so he's not, this is just bringing up words against her. So he's not necessarily putting her away. This is not giving her a get. So it's saying he basically is giving, oh, maybe it is though, because alilot devarim. Ve'otzi alea shem ra. Yeah, so I guess it is that, basically the get thing going on. Yeah.
Okay, so do
So
it
if he
again,
finds someone like
Ve'otzia leha Shem Ra, and he puts out upon her a bad name, Shem Ra. Ve'amar et ha'isha. No, ve'amar. And he will say, et ha'isha hazot, this woman, lakachti, what's that one mean? Lakach. It's over there at the top. Lakach, I took. Lakachti. Vaikra v'leah, and I drew near to her. Velo matzati la betulim. Did not find her a virgin. Ve'lakach avi hana'ar. So again, lakach, what's lakach? Take, right? Avi, what's av? Father, right? So then takes the father of Hanar. So in the text it just says Nar, but they know that it's talking about the woman, right? Avi Hanara, so the woman, the young woman. Ve'ima, and her mother, right? Ve'hotziu, and they will bring out et betule Hanara, right? So these are the what do they call it? The tokens of her virginity. El ziknei ha'ir, to the elders of the city, ha'sha'ara. So here we have the word sha'ar. Who knows sha'ar? Sha'ar.
time. Is it masha'a is like
Sha'ar, but that's with a hey. So this is a reish. Shin ayin reish. Sha'ar. You may know that word? A gate, yeah, the gate. So bring him to the city, ha'sha'ara. So with the hey on the end saying toward the gate. So this is just a directional thing, because normally it's just sha'ar. It's saying ha'ir ha'sha'ara, so toward the gate. Ve'amar avi hana'ar. So in this whole...
Hold on just a second.
Yeah, I can.
So, I'm not sure what you just said all there. Are you saying that one of the only reasons or the main reason for separating or getting rid of a woman is if she's not a virgin? Is that what that's saying? Or what
Yeah,
if you just
pretty much that's the
don't
only
get on real well?
specific example that's really given in the Torah of divorce being allowed is this scenario. That's really the only specific thing that's given. Obviously there's a lot of opinions out there about all the different things, but this is like the specific situation that it gives the situation of not finding her a virgin. So it's like basically an immediate thing of when they're coming together and realize, wait, this isn't a virgin, this is not what I thought I was getting. And that's the thing that's allowed, and Yeshua talks about it was allowed for the hardness of your heart, because there could just be forgiveness and saying, I'm going to forgive and whatever, but he's saying because of the hardness of your heart, Moses allowed you this precept. And then they're taking it basically to all extents and saying you can divorce for any reason you want and all that stuff, right? But yeah.
But if that were the case, Hoshea would have been the first one to divorce his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Hoshea,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hosea married a prostitute.
Okay, so where were we? Did we finish this? Yeah. And so, and Ve'amar avi hana'ar, and the father of the young woman will say. So again, we're seeing this in the parentheses a whole bunch. It's showing you it's the feminine form of the word, right? So even though in the text it just says na'ar, probably it would have still been read as hana'ara, even in ancient times before they had the vowling. It probably would have been read as na'ara, so there would have just been if there were, there's no vowling, but it would just be read like there was another line underneath the reish, right? So it's hana'ara with another vowel. But for whatever reason, it wasn't written with the hey, for whatever reason, which would be the feminine form of the word technically. But biblical Hebrew has a lot of things like this where it's like, oh, technically that should have a hey or whatever, like that should be the feminine form and stuff. But there's different things like that seem
So
like
when you're
mistakes
reading-
or whatever.
When you're reading the Torah,
Mhm.
they wouldn't have said what it printed, they would have said what it should have said.
They would have said, yeah, they probably would have pronounced it like this. Yeah, but this is what's written in the Torah scroll. Yeah. Okay, and then the father of the young woman will say, El Hazkinim, to the elders, Et biti natati. So my daughter, bat, you guys know that word probably. Et biti, at my daughter, natati, I gave, laish, to this man, hazeh, laisha, as a wife, vaisnaea, and he hated her. Vehinehu, 17. Vehinehu, and behold, he has sama lilot dvarim, put out a bad name, le'emol, lo matzati, I did not find levitcha, your daughter, right, bat, betulim, a virgin, ve'ele, betule viti, and these are the tokens of her virginity, ufalsu, hasimla, he'll spread out the garment, lifnei ziknei ha'il, before the elders of the city. Ve lakhu ziknei ha'il hahi. Verse 18. Lakhu, so you know this verb? You familiar with it? Yeah, it's been showing up a whole bunch. Take, right. Ve lakhu, and they will take ziknei ha'il, the elders of the city, hahi, her, right? Because city is feminine. So the city, hahi, et ha'ish, the man, feisru oto, and they will scourge him. I think that's usually translated as scourge him, right? Feisru oto. So this root is, we saw it earlier where it was talking about the son who's like turning aside, going astray. So lasur is generally used to mean someone going astray, turning aside or something. It's possible that this is actually not that exact same root, that it's the root includes the yod and it means something different. But I think if I remember right, the translations in English would say he'll be beaten or scourged or something. Ve'anshuoto, and they will punish him mea kesef, so 100 silver, 100 shekels of silver. Ve'natnu lavi hanaga, and they will give them to the father of the young woman. Ki hotzi shem ra, because he brought out an evil name, al betulat Yisrael, on a virgin of Israel. Ve'lo tihye leisha, and to him she shall be as a wife. Lo yuchal leshalcha, he cannot put her away. Kol yamav, all of his days. All right, that's all we have time for. Good job, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Good job to you.
There's a whole bunch of new words, common ones that show up a lot. Lakach, especially when it's talking about taking a wife. But it shows up in a lot of usages too. Okay, any questions? Alrighty then. We will see you next week.